Good eve morning. You guys want to see something real quick? Sprocket, come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Come up. Can you come up? Look. Oh, you can't really see him. He's such a good boy. Come here, buddy. Hey. Oh, no, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Look at him. We're dog sitting. If you guys know Think Dragon from YouTube, he's like a brother to me, Jason. We're watching his doggy for him for a couple of days. Oh, Brooklyn just growled at him, but they love each other. He's such a good boy. Hey, Missy K, Jan Rocks, Noor. I think I pronounced that right. Noor. Shay, Christola. Christola, you might be interested in this one. Daniel Barry, Memphis Mama, Shelly, Lonnie, Nikki, darling Nikki. Yeah, I was watching Mandy Bells. I need to finish that. Hey, Aussie True Crime. Lonnie. Love you, Lonnie. Isn't Sprocket so cute? He has his own channel. It's called Adventures with Sprocket. I think it's still there. Anyways, guys, I've got some shit to say. So I'd like for you to get comfortable. I think a couple other people wanted to say a few things, so I'll give them a link when I'm done ranting if they want. I'll send it to you guys in Messenger, okay? So yeah, earlier, if you don't know, I will explain why you'll understand better why I apologize to Noodle Mash and what's been going on with Mrs. P. So gather around. No chance, no dance, no chance, no dance, no chance. Give me second chances. That's so cool! Hey! Ow! Ow! Ooh, it's just snacking on Missy K. Well, that light looks like it's really, that light on the slide down there looks like it's really shining. These animals are crazy. Hey, Pink. Good morning, Pink. What you snacking on, Missy K? What you got over there? Ooh, Jan just had Frosties. Ooh, Frosted Flakes. Am I buffering? My signal's being weird. I don't know why. Hey, Mel. Love you, Mel. Wyoming Adventures. All right, so let me just start off by saying that did anybody watch the stream where I had Sally Ann on and Country Joe? It was kind of nice. They kind of ended it like, sorry, the dogs are scratching themselves and stuff. What's she doing over there, Sprocket? Is she flirting? Oh, okay, thanks, Missy K. Oh, that's you. So, sorry, the dog distracted me. That made Mrs. Portland mad, okay? Because I guess she doesn't like Country Joe. I thought it was great that they were able to squash some, like, be peaceful. Because I love Sally Ann and Country Joe. Like, that was a good, it ended up being decent. So, Christola and I were playing, you could play, I don't know if you know this, but you could play video games on Messenger. If you video call each other, there's like games you could play together. Yeah, Nikki, we're babysitting. We're dog sitting Sprocket. Think Dragon's dog. Aw, he's a good boy. And so we called her, and it was me and Christola calling her just to cheer her up, put her in a good mood, laugh with her. And she quickly turns the conversation to Noodle Mash and complaining. And Christola shut that shit down real quick. She's like, we're having fun here. We wanted to like laugh with you and stuff. So change the subject. Miss Portland got mad and hung up. So Miss Portland, she made a video tonight, which I'll go over in a minute. But that's not the first time she's called me a child predator. She quickly went over to Space Monster, Captain Kangaroo, AJ, who start these bullshit rumors, which are not true. I'm not a child predator. I'm nothing of the sort. That's disgusting that people even get that in their brain to repeatedly say that. But they often say that. about me or Lycan, or if you're a guy on here, that's really all they fucking have to say. So shut the fuck up, Angela's Arby roast beef piece of shit. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. Don't come in here threatening me because you don't fucking scare me and you have no idea. Understand? Now get the fuck out of my chat. So, so she got mad about that and she went over and started chatting. And so the next morning after I saw that, of course, she messages me and she sends me all this stuff, right? She always sends me stuff on Noodle Mash and all this shit because she stalks Noodle Mash's channel non-stop. Oh, somebody in the chat, some pussy in the chat that can't come in here under themselves. And so I just blocked her. I was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. Done. Blocked. So she got mad. I blocked her. She continues going over, you know, to AJ and all of them, continuing these conversations. So, of course, she got mad because I apologized to Noodle Mash. And the reason I apologized to her, first of all, was nothing to go against any of my friends or anybody else that has an issue with Noodle Mash. That's their issue. And I love my friends. I love Trisha. I love Sally Ann. I love all of them. Okay. But for some reason, they're, okay, here we go again. Get a little high pitch there, Robert. We are done with you. Beep, beep. Shut the fuck up. Drama of truth. Come in here under your name as yourself, bitch, and come talk your shit, bitch. Ain't nobody fucking afraid of your bullshit. So get the fuck out. Just keep blocking them if they keep coming in. Yeah, that's the most offensive thing they can call people. So anyways, I apologize to her because I see, and I've seen over time how Mrs. Portland has mistreated me, thrown away gifts. I've spent hours and dozens of hours on the phone with her, trying to comfort her, trying to tell her not to watch stuff, to stay out of it. Just if other people, like even if I do live streams, just stay out of it. Stay out of it. And she doesn't like that. She doesn't like that advice. So it's time for tough love. Okay. But I apologize to Noodle because here I am, like basically going after Noodle when she's probably put up with this same shit for a way longer time that I've been experiencing with Mrs. Portland. Lately, it's gotten worse. Miss Portland throws her fits. I baby her like a child, which I probably shouldn't have ever done. Hey, Gladys. So let me just play you a clip of what she made tonight, okay? And then I'll go over the consequences of this bullshit. Okay. I screen recorded it because she always deletes her shit. So here we go. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this. See if I could.
Hey everyone, it's Thursday evening, a little after 7 o'clock. I heard about Robbie's little shit spiel tonight. And truthfully, I found out the truth about Robbie a long time ago through Space Monster and AJ. I found out that he is a child predator. And he goes around causing his own heartache, then goes around and blames everybody else. Well, last week, he and his little drunk girlfriend, Christola, tried to contact me through Messenger and start a bunch of shit.
Hey, Lisa.
Christola started on me with him, and I hung up on them. This was a Messenger video call. I blocked him immediately afterward. He apparently got ticked off the fact that I had blocked him. So he had blocked me in return, and that's fine. I thought I could trust Robbie with a lot of personal things that I had shared with him. Well, I found out wrong. Found out his little hate gang, which is Amy and Nikki, Nasty Nikki, who my Monster Mash calls her. I am also completely done with Robbie at this point.
Good, bitch.
No more. At least with me, Robbie, at least I have a husband of 23 years who has never once cheated on me the way that yours.
I'm going to pause you there real quick. I don't know, and I'm going to say this because it is a fucking fact. The reason he's never cheated is he has no other options. You guys are your only options. I don't know if you own mirrors, but that's the reason that you're both your only options. Okay?
So there's that. At least I have a husband who loves me, and I don't have to sleep in a separate room away from my own husband. Truth. So if you want to be hateful and bitter and jump to the other side, truthfully, I don't care. Nope, don't care. So anyway, that's pretty much about it. If you're gonna hurt me, Robbie, I'm gonna hurt you in return. And saying that I have to have a full-time care provider is also bullcrap because I have
I'm going to pause you there. What I don't think you need a home care provider. I think you need 24, this is my opinion. I think you need 24-hour supervision, either in jail, in an institution, or you need some sort of support group or something. Because people that try to help you, if you don't get your way or they give you advice, which I am done giving you because you don't take it, so now you're going to have to learn the hard way. You're going to have to face the consequences of your actions, and I'll get into that in a minute.
Home care provider that comes 1 day a week. 1 day a week. I do have medical care providing, but all they're able to do is help me with my housework. They are not allowed to get involved in anything else regarding internet issues, family issues, what have you. They are not allowed to get
police
personal
are.
Issues. They are strictly here to medically care for me and help me around my home. But again, I do have medical and home care if it's any of your concern. My life is really none of anyone's business.
Neither is my fucking life, bitch. You want to talk about my marriage and stuff like that? But I'll get into that in a minute.
So if you and Amy and everybody else want to play shit games against me, I don't care. My life will go on. At least I found out now. Put my real friends
in
on
jail it will.
And as of now on YouTube, I don't trust anybody else.
Now I'm going to give Mrs. P a little cold, hard truth here. And this is tough love that I should have given her a long time ago. And I've already forwarded plenty of evidence to the proper place where it belongs. And you'll find that out if they do anything with it. But Mrs. Portland, you are on probation. You're not supposed to be watching Noodle Mash's channel. You're not supposed to be going there. You're not supposed to be talking about it, harassing third party or anything like that. How many fucking times have you messaged me, screenshotting Noodle Mash's comments, community posts, calling her a cunt, calling her all sorts of fucking names, laughing about aggravating her while you're on fucking probation? So I'm going to tell you right now, if you keep up any of your slander, any of your bullshit with me, I will make sure that I personally contact your probation and let them know not only what you've been doing to Noodle behind the scenes, which I have proof of, but what you're spreading around and harassing me with. Hundreds of messages, Missy K, and it's already screen recorded. I got that done tonight, so you could delete away if you want to, Miss Portland. Go ahead. Screenshots have already been sent off, and that's just a tiny little part. What's changed my mind, he's degreeless, is her constant bullshit of intentionally hurting people and knowing what will hurt them. She's smart enough to do that. She's smart enough to know that. So I don't think the internet is a good place for her. I've always told her that. Go to TikTok. Go somewhere where it's a positive environment. She does not listen, so she's going to have to face the consequences herself. So you can enjoy the rest of your marriage, possibly in jail for a couple of years. How about that? And that is the cold, hard truth. And I have cold, hard evidence of every time you're talking about Noodle Mash while you're on probation and have a restraining order that I've told you to stop and leave it alone, and you don't. You found the right one, Miss Portland, because I am done. I have tolerated you for years. I have let you walk all over me. I've given you grace. I've given you chance after chance after chance, and you continue to break the fucking law. And I'm not giving you excuses anymore. Yes, I think you definitely have conditions that need to be monitored in a fucking jail somewhere for special people. That's what you need. That's my opinion. And you're going to go there. Just so you know, you are going to go back to jail. You are not headed down the right path, and that's what's going to happen. And when you do, I hope you look at my face in your brain saying, I fucking told you so. Yeah, Donnie, I was. And I let her say terrible shit to me and then apologize the next day. Look, I'll always forgive. There will never be another chance for Mrs. Portland. And she's never learned. And it's because of people like me that have held her hand and just let her throw her fits. Try to throw that fit in a jail cell, Mrs. Portland, because we're done. I'm fucking done. Yeah, she killed Jamie's t-shirt. Look, and there's been people on all sides that she's fucked with and screwed over. Not just me or people that I get along with. She's screwed Sally Ann over before. She screwed Natasha over, which are all on different sides. She screwed Hooker and Manda over, which I don't even get along with them. She's done it to them. She's done it to Amy. She's done it to fucking Lycan before. She's done it to Tiffany. Granny's watching. All sides. So no matter where she goes, she's gonna fucking do that, because if she doesn't get her way, she throws a fit. Well, I am done with your fits, and I will let the proper people that can handle you do that, because that's where you're headed. Especially you keep calling me that kind of shit that you called me tonight, and slandering and doing that kind of shit. I'm going straight to your probation. I do not care. I am done with you doing this shit, not only to me, but to other people. And that's why I apologize to Noodle Mash, because I said mean shit to Noodle Mash too. Lots of mean shit. Even about her mother, which I apologized to her as well, because it wasn't right. And it was all because I think poor Mrs. Portland. I could only imagine now, like just from doing nothing to Miss Portland, how evil she gets, what Noodle Mash has been through. And I understand there's back and forth with some of my friends and Noodle Mash and stuff like that, but I did that because that was the right thing for me to do. And there's people that were passive aggressive with me today. I don't care if you send me donations. I don't care if you're a member. You don't pay me to ask you for permission to say sorry to somebody. That's not going to fucking happen. And I've been treated like that today by a couple different people. And I'm not going to fucking tolerate that. Don't fucking donate to me. Don't do that kind of shit if you expect me to bow down to your fucking needs. And one of the people that did it, they're getting along with somebody that months ago. They're like, I saw you in this person's chat. They're terrible. They did this. If I were to listen to that person and told that person to fuck off, I'd be an idiot, because now that person is even a mod on that person's channel. So I'm not going to tolerate that bullshit. Hey, Chick Tracy. Okay, hold on, because I'm going to send a link. Okay, one sec. I'm sending you guys a link in Messenger. Thank you for sending those too. You did what's right by apologizing. If you make peace, then good. Yeah, exactly, Lonnie. And who's to say that the people that are mad at Noodle right now will want peace with her eventually anyways? That's not the way I fucking operate. I haven't seen Noodle do anything real life to these people, and people go back and forth, and that's between them. And I've gone back and forth with Noodle, and I decided to apologize for myself. I didn't do it for anyone else. I didn't fucking think I should need to ask permission from fucking anybody to do that. And I'm never going to fucking do that. If you expect me to do that, fuck off. Because I'm not the fucking one. I still think Noodle Mash needs to stop bringing up Miss Portland and let the court handle her. Otherwise, it will never stop. Let Miss P learn the hard and cold way. And I agree with that. I mean, I think at this point, Noodle has plenty of evidence to just get her fucking locked up, and she should. That's my opinion at this point. Nobody can help Miss Portland. Nobody. So, hey, Tragedy Pips Exposed. Hey, Nikki. Or what is it? Icky.
Oh God, it's all the bad words, all of them.
Skank.
But just give me one quick second. Hold
on. In my state, regardless of who obtains an order, both parties have to stop talking about each other. It's a good concept. Noodle Mash bringing Miss Portland up obviously is triggering Miss P. That is true, but also Miss P gets very fucking triggered over nothing. Literally nothing. I can't tell you how many times that I learned over time. I'm like, okay, she's texting me, blowing up my phone, pissed off, sending me screenshots of Noodle and this and that. She'll be fine in the morning. And then the next day, sorry, and she'll apologize. So I just let it go. But her pulling this bullshit and being vindictive and then going as far as calling me a child predator and stuff, I'm not gonna fucking tolerate your bullshit, Miss Portland.
Okay, so I didn't even know that you were going to be doing that today. Which when I saw that your live stream, I honestly I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? I did, because I hadn't spoken to you all day. But I watched it like everybody else, and the first thing that came to my mind was, I told you so. I just want to say that. I just want everybody to know that I told them. But I mean, I don't get along with Noodle Mash. I mean, that's not a secret. However, I remember what was happening back then when the whole back and forth between Noodle Mash and Mrs. Portland. And if it were me, I've always said that I do support the stalking order, because Mrs. P was out of control, and I believe that she knows, she knows better. She knows what she's doing is wrong. I've already talked about it, where when she was freaking out and losing her shit and dragging everyone, the only person's name she didn't say was Noodle Mashes. And the reason for that is because she knows. She knows not to say that. So today when I saw her videos and I heard that, like what you just played, I was just, sickened by that.
Yeah.
Because, that's, you just can't go around saying things like that. And what she's doing here, well, she says that she's known this for years. Or not for a long time or a while or something. She says that she's known this. Okay, no. You can't know something that's not true, number one. And her doing that and saying those things, she's doing this out of revenge. She was angry when she was saying those things. So that's exactly what she was doing back when her and Noodle Mash were going back and forth. She was all day, her community tab. She was just going all the way off. And imagine being, fucking same city with that person. Like, so that would have been, she probably still would have been saying those things. And again, I don't care if it's somebody I hate, or I don't hate Noodle Mash. I'm just saying, I don't care if it's somebody that I hate or somebody I don't like or whatever. There's a fucking limit here. Okay. And she continues to go over it. So, I mean, that is dangerous what she said. And she doesn't give a shit. She does not care that she's putting real people in danger.
Yeah. And not only that, but with her, I've done it more than others. Like, I'll always forgive someone, but I'll usually keep them away from me and not get involved with them again. But always with her, I had a soft spot and I'd always let her back. And that was stupid. And that's why I will never again. Because if I did talk to her again or let her back in and be her friend or supportive or whatever, that would show her that it's okay to keep throwing these tantrums and keep getting worse and keep getting more abusive and doing the shit she does. It's not okay. And you need to finally learn, Mrs. Portland. And I am not supporting you. I'm not supporting streams that are fucking supporting you. None of that. And in my opinion, at this point, her sitting around fucking saying shit like that, you predator and all this. First of all, that's AJ and Space Monster's fault. And they're supposedly all together in the head, right? Not apparently, but supposedly. So she needs to learn. And anybody sitting there pampering her at this point, you're just fucking letting her do it. But I would be a hypocrite if I said don't, because I did it. So you'll learn eventually too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if we ever talked about this, but I got frustrated with you sometimes. I did, but I don't, and I would never expect you to fucking do what I say, or I don't do that with my friends. I respect our friendship enough to respect your choices, your decisions, whether I agree with them or not. But yeah, there were some times I was like, I can't believe this bullshit. This is happening, and he's enabling her and whatever. But it's not, like you just said, you got to learn. People have to learn, and I don't even know that this is such a hideous, ugly situation. And I believe that when it comes to this behavior, I I believe, just from what I've seen of her, that she knows better. And I think that she uses her
Like COVID.
she uses her perceived or whatever her issues are, she uses them, she hides behind them. She knows that people think this of her, that she doesn't know her, and she whatever, and she uses these things to her advantage. But the problem is when people look at her as someone who is, has issues like that, and she's saying what she's saying, there's people that will believe her. Same thing with Noodle Mash, which is something that I when I was dragging her, I have said, I know that she's not afraid of Mrs. P, but there, it's possible that somebody may want to come to her defense. And hearing all these terrible things that Noodle Mash is saying and doing to Mrs. Portland, it's not out of the realm to think that some psycho may actually want or could, the possibility is there. Someone could do that, and I mean, would you want to live with that possibility? I fucking wouldn't. It's like I said, it's not fair to do this to people. And she's been doing it. So yeah, I think that, and we know that she understands the law and she understands what she can and cannot do, because she's, as far as I can see, I mean, she's been following it. She's not been saying no magic name nor the names of any of her family, but so she does understand it. It's just unfortunate that she continues and she says the things that she says, and she admitted it. She said, I don't know if she used the term revenge, but she did. She said, I can't remember exactly what she said, but this is ridiculous. Just fucking say publicly on a public platform that you're a predator. That's just gross.
Yeah, and I mean, that's getting really old, and I'm getting really sick and tired of these, of course, the troll accounts and all the haters talking about, family members that I live with or whatever. First of all, that's none of their fucking business. And it's illegal, if you look up the laws in Colorado, to harass family members of people like that. And if you know, you know. But it's not my fucking business to come on here. And I'm also protected by something else that they'd be surprised if they want to fuck around and find out.
Well, the problem with Miss Portland is that
Lonnie.
she has like a ton of people that have tried to be there for her and guide her into the right direction, like us, especially you, Robbie. Like, you've bent over backwards for that woman, and what she's doing to you right now is absolutely wrong. And people might get mad at me for saying this, but I'm going to say it's the truth. It's what really happens. You sit here and you try to help Miss Portland and guide her into the right direction, be supportive. But if you, and all she does from the time she wakes up until she finally falls asleep at night is messages you links to Noodle's channel. Screenshot after screenshot after screenshot after screenshot all day long of anybody that says anything. Noodle made, and I'm not defending Noodle. Okay, I'm not. That's not where I'm going with this, but it's the truth. Noodle
fucking better not. I'm kidding. I'm just.
Noodle Noodle did a live last week or the week before. I can't remember what day it was. And she said that she gave out pictures of Walter and Miss Portland to her family members so they knew what Miss Portland looked like. Miss Portland starts messaging me and she's like, put my pictures up at the casino. She put my pictures all over, and said the name of the city that Noodle lives in, and was just carrying on and carrying on. And then she starts telling me how she's going to go print off Noodle's picture and her husband's picture and hang them up all over the city, all over her town. Like, what good is that going to do? Miss Portland is very aware of what she's doing, and she's very, very revengeful. Very revengeful. So she took what Noodle never one time said she posted pictures in a casino. Never one time did Noodle say she posted pictures of Walter and Miss Portland all over her town.
No, she said she brought them to the
families. Yeah. What and it's like, and she takes that and she completely twists and turns it around and says she's going to go post her pictures everywhere. If Miss Portland can control herself for 4 months, 5 months, however long it was, to stay off of YouTube, she can control what she's doing right now on YouTube. If Miss Portland can legally live at home and make legal decisions, she can make decisions that are not going to put her into trouble. That's how I feel. I mean, and if you go one day without talking to Miss Portland, she goes off on you and she blocks you. She adds you to chats. And if you're not talking in the chat, she removes you. She is very aware of what she's doing.
I want one more thing I forgot to mention that I was thinking about earlier is that so Robbie is as far as I know, he has been the kindest person towards Mrs. P on this platform, the most welcoming, the like I said, the kindness, the most accepting, the most forgiving. Like he really has treated her better than anyone else for a long time. And if she can do this to him, can you imagine the things? Now I don't remember in detail whatever she was posting about Noodle Mash. I don't remember what it was. I only remember because I didn't read it. There was so much of it, but I just remember it was like a whole fucking avalanche of constant shit that things that she was saying. And you know, I mean, yeah, that's just what she does. Sorry. Hey Lonnie.
And
Hey, Lonnie.
I thought Lonnie wanted to say something.
Pink keeps saying in the chat, Noodle, and this is what's bothering me about Noodle, okay? She does have a stock. Whenever a judge signs off a protective order, it is up to Noodle to report the harassment and stalking and all of the stuff that's going on. It is her responsibility to report that to the police. And then the police will go out to her house, look at the proof, write a report, up to their discretion if Miss Portland has broken the order or not. They don't sit here and do investigations on what a judge has already put on a court order. Period. That's not how it works. You know, people are saying, well, it's from another county. No, it's not. It's not. How is it in another county? Miss Noodle lives in her county, and that's where it's going to take place.
I think so this is how the process goes as far as I know. So if there's a court order, the judge issues the order, everything's written on it. And obviously Mrs. P has to abide by that. Now, if Noodle Mash phones the police with, allegations that Mrs. P has breached that or violated the order, obviously then the police will come out and they take their investigative notes or whatever. They talk to both of them and they look at evidence. And, often the police will not make an arrest, like, unless it's some blatant shit. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's like a fight or something.
If she goes against the order, they will make an arrest.
No, Amy,
they will.
What I'm saying, not always will they make an arrest right there. In this situation, keep in mind that, they're pretty, when it comes to social media and things like that, and like, this is all happening on social media. So I have seen a lot of situations where police officers are confused. Like when they're like, what the fuck? We don't know. So what they do is then they will go to, what is it you guys have? The DA. So then at that point, it's often or almost always, it's up to the DA to decide.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
I have a court order. It says on there that it will not be, she cannot break it. The judge has already given her warning.
But what
happened
what are
is
the
like
conditions?
last time, right? So she's not allowed. There are conditions on it, and if it gets what happened is when it happened a year ago, Miss Portland's the one that called the cops. Noodle said it was under investigation a year ago too. Nothing has been done, right? It's not under investigation. So what happened is Miss Portland called the cops. They contacted Noodle. Noodle told them what was going on. They immediately contacted her police and went and picked her up. You cannot go against that court order. It's an immediate arrest.
Well, because Mrs. P lied and said that she wasn't on Twitter doing whatever it was that was happening on Twitter. And isn't that when he got her phone, or she handed over her phone or something?
Miss Portland was calling her son, Miss Noodle's son's job, and she's not allowed to do that. It's on the order. She's not allowed to have any contact or harass Noodle's children. And she was threatening and calling him a pedophile.
Yeah, and
that he was doing things to children. That Noodle's son was doing things to children. And then when the cops went over to, it was a bunch of reasons. Noodle told the cops what was going on. They went and picked her up and arrested her. That's how she ended up in jail. It's not because Noodle called the cops.
No, I know it was Mrs. P, but I thought it had to do with something on Twitter and where she was under some fake account or something, and then they looked at her phone and there it was.
There was a bunch of reasons why. There was a bunch of
Oh,
reasons
okay.
why. Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to say too, like I told, not only did I apologize, but I emailed Noodle and I let her know that, you know, I have friends that have problems with her and I'm not going to make that a problem for me because I love them. I love Trisha. I love Sally Ann. There's other people that messaged me today that were being so passive aggressive. It was disgusting. And all I did was look, I've said stuff about Noodle's mom passing. I've been a dick. Okay. And this is all over while I'm being sitting here almost a week ago watching Miss Portland go over and call me, talk in these chats that are calling me a predator and stuff. And that's like, it starts to click. I'm like, wait a minute. What the fuck am I doing defending somebody who's sitting here, not only abusing me now, but has in the past over and over? And so that's where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to participate anymore in any negative bashing of Noodle Mash. Her and I have had issues, but I'm not going to do it because I know just from what I've experienced with Miss Portland in the last couple years, how evil and vindictive she gets. And I'm so fed up. And so when people do say, you know, well, Noodle shouldn't respond to her, I agreed with that for a very long time. And I've changed my mind because the more Miss Portland goes and she makes these, even though, because I don't think Miss Portland is to be taken seriously, people know she lies, but she gets a lot of people watching her stupid little videos. So people listen to that shit. And when she says stuff like, you know, calling people predator or whoever she was calling a predator that Amy was talking about, who was she saying that about, Amy?
Noodle's son.
Noodle's son. That's fucked up.
And called
And
his work.
yeah, and enough is enough. She's just going to keep being pampered and no longer by me because I realized what I've done over time has been damaging to her and to Noodle Mash and many other people. So I'm not doing it anymore. And it's been damaging to me too. And
Well,
Amy, you guys have all been there for her too.
But here's the thing. This is where I like stand on it between Miss Portland and Noodle. Obviously, Miss Portland has control to stay off social media because she's already proven to me that she can do it. But Noodle, here's the cops are looking at this as a back and forth between two people, and they're not going to sit here and take Noodle serious if she continues talking about Miss Portland. You know what I'm saying? What Noodle needs to do is completely back off, quit talking about it, quit bringing up Miss Portland, let Miss Portland do it, and then she'll have a stronger case. She won't have to have anything quote unquote investigated. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's probably why the police aren't taking her serious because they're the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you're really scared of somebody and you want them to stop to where you have to go get a stalking order, you shut the fuck up about them. Period. End of story.
Yeah, and I'm going to let Lonnie talk, but I just want to say this, and Miss Portland, I hope you're listening. If you continue your bullshit coming after me, saying anything about me because I said sorry to Noodle, that's considered third-party harassment because you're harassing me for being friendly with her. So don't fucking do that. I don't think you want to do that. Go ahead. Sorry, Lonnie.
I thought of that.
Hey, I just come up to support you.
I love you. You've been sweet to me all day.
Yeah. I stuck up for her and done a little video and done things that, you know, like she likes Blue, she likes the song that she sang on karaoke. I put little photos up and just did a little video. And then something happened. I don't know what happened. And she blocked me. And I was like, what did I do? I remember doing a live stream for like 4 hours, basically telling Noodle to back off, just leave her alone. And now I'm starting to realize that, you know, was it all a lie? Did she manipulate us to make it seem like Noodle was the one that was harassing her? And now I'm thinking that maybe, yeah, I agree with Amy that they both have to stop. I've always said that. Like over here, when you take a stalking order or an RO on someone, both parties have to not be in contact with each other, not third party, can't be 100 meters in like around each other. And what I'm saying here is, when is it enough? When like everyone going to stop wrapping her in cotton wool and making out that she's such a poor old lady with disabilities? She knows what she's doing. I've said this the whole time. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to manipulate. She knows how to hurt people. And she knows that when she gets angry, and we all know it, that she fires off and says hurtful things and does hurtful things. But Robbie, you've been so kind to her. You've given her time. You've given her time out of your day that you can never get back. And this is what I said to you in the message. I said to you, it's not just affecting you now, it's affecting your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got like serious medical conditions. It only takes someone that is close to your home to find out that she's saying all this stuff about you, and something could happen. You could get attacked. Someone could go to your work and you could get attacked, or Michael could get attacked. And you know, he's got epilepsy. He has seizures. And with us that have seizures, one bump to the head and it's basically we're in hospital and it's not okay. And she's doing it because, and I said this when other people were saying it about James too. Like, you know, you don't have to like these two men to have some sort of heart and say, hey, and stand up and say, this is not right. You are literally playing with their lives and you're putting these men in danger. And, you know, it's hurtful for me knowing, and I came up here wanting to abuse Mrs. P and go off like I normally do, but it's not, like you said, you've got to be cruel to be kind. And you know, and what I'm trying to say here is, Mrs. P, you need to stop, because if you did classify this man on this panel as a close friend of his and a close friend of you and your husband, then stop, because you are putting this man in danger. He's got enough going on. He's got enough people coming at him and bullying and harassing him every day. And it takes one person to find out that this is all going on and, oh, look, you know, this poor old lady, blah, blah, blah. And this man on this panel could be in danger. And forget about everything, what she, you know, the way she is and her getting angry, blah, blah. This is dangerous. You can't just go throw around that someone is a child predator and a pedophile and stuff like that. And, you know, it's dangerous. That's all I'm trying to say. And Mrs. P, I know you're watching this. You need to stop, because I have given you a benefit of the doubt lately. I thought Noodle and all her supporters were going at you, and my heart actually broke for you. And my heart doesn't break. My heart's black, you know, and it's cold and it's, yeah. And it actually broke for you. I stuck up for you many times. I went at Noodle Mash and I said some hurtful things to her. And now I'm starting to think, like, back in the day when she first started going at Noodle Mash, I stuck up for Noodle and whatever. And enough is enough now. You need to stop. Move on. Go somewhere else. Go in a different direction. Go to knitting, you know, communities, art communities, craft communities. And you did what you thought in your heart that you wanted to do. I have no problem with it. I'm not pissed off. I don't like Noodle, but doesn't mean I'm going to be like, oh, you know, message you passive aggressively and say, you know, I can't believe it, Robbie. You do what you feel like you need to do to make yourself feel better about the whole situation and make peace. you know.
Yep.
You know,
Well, and also, just like in Colorado, Oregon is the same. I've had restraining orders put on me, and I've also had them on people. And the way it works is you are allowed to talk about the person. You are actually allowed, and it sounds crazy. When I got my restraining order on my boyfriend in 2007, they said even if I showed up at his front porch and called the police on him, he could go to jail and I wouldn't get in trouble for that. You can literally talk about, Noodle can talk about Miss Portland. She could do any of that. Now, as far as like provoking and stuff like that, I don't think she should do that because that's not going to help anything, but she is allowed to do that. Just like here in Colorado, you're allowed, it's one way, it's not both ways. That person is restrained from you, and it's not only making threats. That, like, if they're making a threat or they got arrested, that's the reason they get the restraining order. They don't need to make a threat to you to get arrested.
yeah. And
All they got to do is contact you third party, harass you third party, harass you directly, say something to you, and they're going to jail, period. And it says on the restraining order, the police are to arrest them immediately and take them into custody.
Yep. If that order gets, this is how dangerous
Hey,
Miss P can get. I know you know, I don't know how you feel about Patty, but I'm friends with Patty. Okay. And
I don't know who Patty is.
Patty G. Anyway, she used
okay.
she rescues animals. She rescues dogs, takes care of dogs. Do you know that Miss Portland contacted the place that she goes through? This is what I was told through someone that's like friends with all of them. Do you know that Miss Portland called the dog place
Be right back.
where Patty works and told them that Patty was having, you know what, with the animals?
Oh, that's who that was about. Yeah, I heard that.
I mean, that right there is a dangerous accusation. And whenever, like, I know with you and I don't know about everybody else, but like, I know for a fact with you and I, like, when it came down to stuff, that's why Miss Portland and I bump heads a lot, because I'll be there, like, talk to her and stuff like that, let her say things, but I never supported her one time whenever it came down to her breaking that order or breaking the law or going against doing something like that. I would not support that. And we did everything that we could to, like, drive her away from all of this, but she didn't want to do it. It is constant noodle all the time. And it's overwhelming.
Yeah. And I mean, even when it's not about the order, I mean, this started over Country Joe coming up. And listen, I know that people get pissed off and I don't care, because I'm not doing things to be vindictive against people that are my friends that don't get along with someone. And then I decide that I want to have a resolution with somebody. That's not out of vindictiveness. That's because that's what I feel I should do, is what's right. And this started over Country Joe coming up. It wasn't even over Noodle Mash in the beginning. And then she continued and all the bullshit. It's like, it doesn't even matter if you're talking about the order, poking at Miss Portland. There's been, and not just me, Amy can vouch for this, Lonnie, I'm sure all of us. You don't have to poke Miss Portland for her to come for you, for her to be so hateful. And it doesn't matter if you've given her thousands of dollars or whatever. She doesn't give a fuck. She will rip you to shreds and not feel a thing. Hold on, Carity. I just want to make sure I'm putting my thing up. Hold on.
Do you know that, and I just recently found this out through one of my friends. Do you guys
Is that
know?
you, Carity?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys know that that Miss Portland actually went to Andy Portland's house? Got on the bus, rode the bus, and went to his house? I'm like, I just recently found all of that out. Like, she went there. It's all starting to click a little bit on why Noodle has the fear that she has of Miss Portland. If Miss Portland can get on a bus and go to Portland Andy or Andy Port, whatever that guy's name is, to his house and show up in front of his door, that's kind of fearful, to be honest.
Well, yeah, that's another thing that clicked with me is, Miss Portland calling me the name she did today. It's not her that could be the dangerous person. It's the people that are listening to her. if they don't know who she is, because people who know who she is, I don't care her saying that stuff. But if somebody doesn't know and they just hear that, it's enough is enough. But hey, Carity, how you doing?
That's what
I'm
I
good,
was.
guys.
That's what I was
How's
just
everybody?
saying.
Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, anyone that knows her. But if, like, this platform, as everyone knows, it's not just this community, it's a worldwide fucking platform. And it only takes one person to not like the allegations that she's putting out on you, Robbie, hunt you down. And that's putting you in danger. It's putting everyone in your home in danger, your family, you know?
Yes. You know, and they talk about like my brother-in-law and stuff. He's a fucking good person. Like they just do that and they don't even know his story. And I'm so fucking tired of these assholes bringing that shit up because that has nothing to do with YouTube at all. They're just doing that to dox my address. But
Okay.
what did you want to say, Carity? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't want to interrupt anybody, and I seem to have a bit of a lag. I just, I've never actually, or I haven't come up on anybody's panel since I left Noodles, and it frustrates me beyond belief the amount of, and because it's on YouTube, there's a lot of misunderstanding and people hear one thing or they don't see the whole thing, and there's so much that had been going on while I was with Noodle. And when I left, it wasn't because we had a big falling out or anything. It was just I had gotten to a point where Noodle had made it clear that she was not going to stop going after X and Mrs. P and everybody else. And I was to a point where I just couldn't continue down that road. So that's why I'd left. That's the whole entire story. I didn't leave on bad terms. It was just, that was where I was at. So that being said, I'd like to try and clear up a few things. Now, again, I've talked to Noodle exactly once since I left, when she had reached out to me and asked me for the files that I had actively kept track of for her. And but my understanding was, I mean, it had been a few months since I'd left, and even before that, whenever I suggest to Noodle that, or tell Noodle I had this or that, this file, that file, whether it was screenshots or videos, as a rule, she already had them because she had so many people sending her stuff. When Noodle says, as a rule, she does not watch this stuff, she doesn't watch Mrs. P, she honestly doesn't. When Noodle says she has disabilities, mental and physical, she's not lying. She just refuses to put out her health documents, medical files, because in my opinion, nobody should be putting out their medical files on here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, there's a lot of very private stuff in there, and Noodle's gone through hell through her life. So it really bothers me when people negate everything and constantly say poor Mrs. P. Now, that being said, I left because I just couldn't do that anymore. I was to a point where I'm the same as you guys. It has to stop on both sides. But I know when everything first really started with Noodle and Mrs. P, when Mrs. P started really going after Noodle, and then X and everybody jumped in, Noodle had made it very clear. I can't count the number of calls that us girls would all be on, private ones with Noodle in tears, falling apart, either right before a show or right after. And everybody's saying, oh, she's so well spoken, she's this, she's that, she doesn't have the same issues. They may not be the same, but there's some serious issues. She just has a little bit better way of hiding it, I think, might be a way of putting it. It's a coping skill that she learned because she had to, in my opinion. Now, again, this is all in my opinion, and I don't know what has happened legally or otherwise since I left there. Okay. As I said, I'm not in touch with her. But that being said, when I was there, and Amy, thank you for making it clear that it was, again, it was Mrs. P who ended up putting her in jail, herself in jail. And if anybody has any questions about what was on that order, what was written by the police and how it was written, I haven't gone and looked yet, but Moose, what was it, Moose Knuckle or Moose Knuckles? He did a really, really good live where he went through it line by line. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, go and watch that live if it's still up.
Oh, okay.
Because
I'm going to look for his channel to drop the link.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I don't know. I know he had a lot of, he had some family stuff go on. His cancer showed up in the family, not for him, but one of his family members. So
okay.
He kind of stepped into the background. I hadn't seen, I know he still shows up every now and then, but I don't know. And I wish him, he's such a wonderful man. He really is. And, but all that being said, there's some misconceptions about what's going on between Mrs. P and Noodle. First things first, with Noodle, the reason she went back, or one of the main reasons that she went back, and is always, I'm going to disprove that, here's my receipts, is simply because Noodle feels that that's one of her integrity is super important to her. And she, how do I word this? She feels like, and again, I hate talking for her. That's not what I'm doing. I'm going back to what the feeling and stuff that she said to all of us. But she did make it very clear that her integrity was, she felt, was one of the only things she had left. Okay. So when people lie about her, she's going to make sure that, no, that's not true. This is true. Now, some of that gets a little convoluted when they're going back and forth, but the basics.
I have to disagree. I honestly think Noodle is a snake. I think she's a snake. And I think that she's just as much, but she does not need to be talking about Mrs. P. And I mean, I've dealt with her myself, like just my own issues with this woman. I don't think she has integrity. That's just my opinion. I do not think that woman has an ounce of integrity in her. But I'm sorry, go continue.
Oh no, that's fine, Nikki. That's fine.
Well, and I want to say, I think it's nice that you're like, you even left her and you don't talk to her anymore, and you're still, just explaining, you're not dragging her. You're kind of just not even defending her. You're just explaining things,
Well, and I think some of that gets lost along the way. Like, I'm just saying, whether or not we believe she has integrity or not, either way, right? That is how she feels. She feels that that's one of the only things she has left, and the only thing that she can actually, if somebody's going to lie about her, it's the same as most people, right? If you feel like somebody's going to lie about you, especially somebody you know in real life, you're going to go back at them. Now, you guys also have to understand, when I was with Noodle, the amount of things that Mrs. P would post and say and do in the background was mind-boggling. I had in my file that I needed room on my Google hard drive. I was paying extra because that file was so big. And I thought Noodle had all of it. So after I was gone for a few months, I just deleted it. Anyway, she had over 100 channels, Mrs. P.
Yeah.
And it was quite often that she was on 25 of them a day, where she was saying stuff on all of them and doing videos on, like she would put one up and within a minute of it being done, she'd delete it.
Mm-hmm.
And she got to the point where as it ended, she hit private or whatever, right? So unless we were actively watching, we weren't getting this. But Noodle's fear with all of that is, now you have to understand that Mrs. P, I know one now. I did hear Noodle, I think it was last week. I think it was Noodle. So don't quote me on that. But say that Mrs. P had actively injured 2 people. Okay, I
What?
know that she, she actually physically, she grabbed her ex by the balls and crushed them. Yeah. So to
Well, I
say
don't know why I'm surprised.
He beat her up. He
to
beat her
say
up.
that, and I don't mean just, gee, she grabbed him and hurt him. She hospitalized him. It was serious. Okay, so to say that this little woman is incapable of hurting someone. Now, do I think that she's going to show up at Noodles and do something? I would hope not. But this is the same woman when she lived in the same compound. Her and, I don't know if it was both her and Walter. I know they were together, but they were actually actively climbing up on, I don't know if it was a wall or shrubbery or what, right in front of, or like beside Noodles, with their faces like up against the window to see what they're doing in the house.
Yeah, Noodle
Like
did tell me that story.
This is stuff that Noodle
Wow.
doesn't usually share. And unless everybody's listening actively to what both of them are saying, bits and pieces of the stories get lost and twisted and churned, right? Now, so I mean there's stuff. Now, again, is it always that Noodle was actively afraid that Mrs. P was going to ride her little scooter down there and do anything? Most likely not. But then again, at the same time, her son, I'm not sure if he still is, but I know Mrs. P said that he had been moved, but
Yeah, I think that was a lie, but I don't know.
I was going to say I'm almost positive that that was not true. And he lives, it's been determined, and that was because of safety issues, that Noodle has a good idea of how far away he is from the house.
Isn't it like a couple blocks or in the same neighborhood or something like that?
Yeah, and she had no idea that he was that close. But again, that town is not super big. I think it's like, I'd have to look it up again, but I think it's like 7,000 or 8,000 people. Like, it's small.
Oh, it's very small.
And the police in both Noodlestown and where Mrs. P is, neither one of them want to freaking do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move forward to what's going on with this. She's got the order. Noodle has the order, the protective stalking order against Mrs. P. It's lifetime. Okay. And then because she broke that order, she has the probation order, which I believe was 18 months. I think it ends, I'd have to look at a calendar. I think it's January or something.
Yeah,
it was longer than Mrs.
months.
P was saying.
Yeah. It's 18 months. I have it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've told everybody this, and I've never changed my mind on it. My fear, it's not Miss Portland doing something.
Uh-oh, I'll be right back. Sorry,
It's
Yeah.
her.
dog.
It's her husband. She tells
No.
him to jump, and he says how high. I've sat
Oh,
there and listened to
definitely.
him lie for her, and
Yep.
that's where my whole thing of the fear comes. It's not like if I was talking to one of my friends and she was worried about like a neighbor or something like that. No, that's not it. My fear has always been Mr. Portland. She tells him to do something, he's gonna do it.
Wait,
Yeah, plus they've got
are
the
you
friends,
trying?
I
Wait,
suffer.
you mean like you? What is that?
What?
There's an
I don't
internet?
know.
Sorry about that. Okay, it's just me. I'm hearing things. I'm so sorry. No, did Amy? Where's Amy? Are you? I didn't catch that whole thing. Are you saying that you think that her husband would do something?
Yes, I do. I do. I'm gonna tell you why, Nikki. I have had that relationship with Miss Portland.
Yep.
She tells him to do something, he does it.
I
He's
believe
like
it, but
he's like her little
violence?
robot. She has sat there. She tells him to say something, he says it. She tells him to jump, he says how high.
But like you
I've
think he would
witnessed
actually?
I honestly
Violence.
believe that he is, number one, he loves her. Number two, I think he's afraid of her.
Okay, sorry.
Oh
So,
yeah, I can see that.
but regarding what's going on now with the court order, or not even the court order, it's not even the court order right now. Basically, she has been, Noodle's been basically told, and Noodle, if I'm saying this wrong, please, I do apologize. I'm trying to stay as straight to the line as I possibly can. But if I remember correctly, basically, I can't remember if it was the judge or the police.
Healing time. You feel free to judge my relationship healing time. It's perfectly fine. Anyone is welcome. Go ahead. Continue. I'm so sorry for interrupting.
But one of them,
I'll send them the dirt.
Noodle was basically told that unless at this point, while the bench warrant is in place for probation, okay, and the bench warrant, basically what that means is she doesn't have her probation officer. It's the judge that heard the hearing, okay, for the probation. That's who is her probation officer right now, which just made things super, super difficult for Noodle because she doesn't call the cops now. The only time she calls the cops is if somebody, and they basically told her, unless she is standing in front of your house with a weapon, don't call us.
Wow.
Okay, so, and the way she has to report it at this point, or the way it was while I was still there, if I remember correctly, is that it's a multi-step process. I remember us talking after that hearing, and Noodle was so upset because instead of basically, because of Mrs. P's mental capacity, basically she was on a 3-strike basis for the bench probation. And the way Noodle had, and I can't remember the exact rotation, but there's there's three people involved that Noodle has to go through, and I don't believe any of them are the police.
But it says on the order, because Miss Portland sent me her probation papers, and it says on the order that the order is still in effect, and it still has to be obeyed. Like that is what they're going
I
off
get
of.
that. The problem is that for the bench probation, it was explained afterwards that in order for Noodle to make any reports, and I'm not sure who the people are, but it has to go, I don't know if it's the DA or who, but Noodle has to contact the courts, and there's a form that she has to fill out.
Or I think that I have a better idea. I think that Noodle Mash should just completely stop. Just stop talking about Mrs. P. And then, Just stop and then wait. If she does anything, send it to the law. Because you know what?
But that's
She has
what I'm
health
saying,
issues.
Nikki. Nikki, you need to
Yeah.
understand that's not how it's working right now. You need
No,
to understand.
oh no, I'm sorry, but I trust
No,
you.
I understand that
I'm
you
not laughing at
understand the
you.
law.
No, I'm not. I just want to say something because I did just laugh, and I wasn't laughing at you. But when you said that, I just immediately thought of the situation, and I was like, "No, I understand. I see what's happening." That's what I was laughing at. I wasn't. I don't
Oh,
want you
okay.
to think that I was laughing at you.
No, no,
I
no.
was just
Oh, no,
when
no.
you said that, I was thinking when just as soon as you said that, I immediately thought, "Oh no," but I know, I see. But I was thinking of what's happening on YouTube, so that's why
Exactly.
I'm
And that's where
not
some of the
laughing at you.
problem is, I think.
I think you're great. I'm so sorry.
I do. I think
No
I
worries,
don't think I've
Nikki.
ever spoke to you before, Carrie. You very
Yeah,
well
I
No,
really
spoken.
enjoy listening to you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do
Oh,
that.
that's okay. That's okay. I did not take offense. No worries. But again, because there's so much that is missed or in behind, right? Noodle does keep a lot of stuff very private. You only get a hint of what is actually going on legally.
Mhm.
Well, the problem
But
is that she's brought this to YouTube. You know what I'm
I
saying? Like,
know.
and that's it would be more beneficial for Noodle in her favor to quit talking about Miss Portland altogether and what is even going on with her
I
little
agree.
hints that she gives. She would have a stronger leg to stand on and get, in her favor if she stopped and she turns around. She's like, look, this is what's happening. Miss Portland is, Kelly Davenport. She's still doing this, and this. And you know what I'm saying? But with the cops are looking at it, because I called for her once. I called for her a year ago.
I know.
And I talked to the lieutenant for a long time.
Yep.
They look at it as a back and forth. How are they supposed to take anything serious with the back and forth? I even said a year ago, Noodle needs to stop talking about it. And everyone told me,
But
well,
you know
she
what?
doesn't want to be lied about. Everybody gets lied about on
I,
here.
okay. Here's another thing that I think is really important to discuss. I have listened to Noodle Mash, and I've listened to her talk about. I don't think she's ever gone into a lot of detail, but I know she's spoken about her health issues, and so she has health issues. We know I don't know what they are, but she has health issues. But all of this that's happening, when you hear her talking about the situation with Mrs. Portland, you can hear it in her voice. She's stressed. She's getting worked up. She's got anger. You can have, I have had a heart attack, and they I don't know how they figure this out, but they, they told me it was like likely caused by it was stress induced, just like you can have stress induced high
Yep.
blood pressure. These are dangerous things. So, and that's when I hear her and I think about all of this, I'm thinking, why would you like this? It's not worth it. It's really not. It's not worth it to sit and talk about this on and on and on to a bunch of people when it could potentially and very likely affect her health. It's not worth it. And when you know that if Mrs. P is or does anything that is violating her order, the law will take care of it. And if they
But
don't, if the police don't, she can level up and she can, call who's ever above the, you know what I mean? Like there's
I understand
you
what
know,
you're saying, Nikki, but again, it's easy to say what they should be doing, but because they are viewing it as a back and forth, the
because it is
police
though.
basically have no interest. Oh, I agree. I
Yeah, the
agree. And
police
it's gotten
usually here too
super
are the
out of
same.
hand,
Yeah,
which
but that's the
again,
thing though. The reason they're not taking her seriously is because she's actually doing more than Mrs. P is. And
um,
it's unfortunate, but yeah, you're right.
But I will say that's one of the reasons why that's another reason why I apologize to Noodle is because, like you said, the police not doing anything and then it's still going on online.
yeah,
Since the police don't do anything, I think Noodle sees it as, okay, well, if they're not going to do anything, I'm at least going to tell people this isn't true, and this isn't true. And the way I've looked at it for the longest time is, dude, just shut up. Like you're going back and forth. But like if Miss P is not being held accountable and there's people like myself that have backed her and done stuff, and more people like gang up and they go after Noodle, and the police aren't doing anything, of course she's going to stand up for herself.
Can I
That's
address that for a second, Robbie?
yes, yeah.
In regards to that, in regards to Noodle doing okay, nobody's doing anything else, I have to stand up for myself and let everybody else know. Initially, when Mrs. P started going on about Noodle, Noodle was very unaware initially that Mrs. P was going everywhere talking about her for the first, I'd say probably close to 8 months, 6
Oh
to 8
wow.
months. Okay. So all of a sudden, when Noodle started responding, all these other communities where Mrs. P, you know how Mrs. P bounces from community to community,
Yeah.
and how when she gets something in her head, there's no stopping her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, all these people who had no idea who she was, who Noodle was, all of a sudden Noodle's out defending herself and saying Mrs. P's lying and she's dangerous and she's this and she's that. So all of a sudden you've got all these people who thought Mrs. P was amazing and thought she was funny and thought this crazy woman was just out to destroy Mrs. P, and oh my goodness, it's horrible what she's doing. And all of a sudden Noodle clued in, like all of a sudden we started seeing all this stuff. And we were like, what the hell? So that, I think, is the main reason Noodle really started talking out about this, is because when people say, oh, well, it's not a big deal, who's going to listen to her? The whole freaking community listened to her against Noodle.
Yeah, I did.
Can I
Uh,
also say too?
I didn't.
I listened to both. I tried to help them privately for a while.
Yeah,
so,
oh, I know that,
you
but I'm
know,
talking even
yeah.
before that.
Noodle has one of the worst police departments. I can testify for that because I talked to
Yes.
them. They don't listen and they don't want to do anything. Like I said, I talked to that lieutenant for a long time on the phone, and it was like going in circles.
Yeah.
They don't.
And that's
It's horrible.
because, and if it's the same one I'm thinking of, Amy, I think you spoke to the same one that, or one of the main ones that
Give me the
that
number.
Noodle had to deal
I'll
with.
do it. I'll call.
And I'm sure you won't, you'll be like number 432. But basically the I can't remember if it was the supervisor, the chief, whoever it was over there. The main one that you guys were all talking to, he was the one that kind of heads the mental health department over there. So he's the one that kind of deals with people like Mrs. P all the time. So they were
Mm.
very familiar with Mrs. P already.
Oh,
So
okay.
their opinion was very much, oh, well, she's just a little baddie, and, you know, we don't have to worry about her. She's not going to do anything. You know, she's all talk, no action, you know, this type of thing, the same thing. But this little innocent woman is the one who went ahead and called Noodle's son's work and tried to say that he was being, very inappropriate with children. He was,
She also called Patty's work too.
Miss P,
yep,
you should be ashamed
yep.
of yourself.
She also, she had made, I don't know if anybody remembers, but when near the beginning of all this, when Noodle had clued in, Mrs. P had made the threat when Noodle's car had broken down. Do you guys remember that?
Wait, her
Vaguely?
car?
Yeah. When her
Yeah,
car had
and I
broken
think like
down,
people were giving her crap for doing a fundraiser or something.
no, before that, Mrs. P's reaction was, oh, well, maybe I should call the management and have your car towed because it's a dead car. She said that on a number of
What a bitch.
posts, right?
Yeah,
So
What?
Noodle was in a freaking panic. So fast forward, what, a year and a half or a year? This was right around court time. The second one was
looks like
when
he's wearing a hat. Sorry.
Noodle had found out that, and there's a letter from the management company. She actually got called down to her management company's office or talked on the phone. I can't remember which, but she did get a copy of a letter. It's in the file. I've seen it, where Mrs. P was calling the main office of that property management company, which is in her area, putting in all these reports about Noodle.
Can I just say
It's like
something? It's not having a jab at you, Care,
That's okay,
or
honey.
because I absolutely adore you.
You're
I
so
love you.
sweet, Carrie D.
I know.
I
just
enjoy
don't
your
be, like,
presence. It's,
rude or mean here.
yeah.
Like I can't. I'm like
I'm
listening to
sorry.
like,
I have to get nasty. I'm not
civilized
a
voice.
nasty person. I'm just not.
That's the problem. Why are you even
I
in
know.
this community? How dare you? Do you know where you are?
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Lonnie.
She's so well spoken. I like it.
Yeah, it's not having
Go
a
ahead,
jab at
Lonnie.
you. It's not having a jab at you because I absolutely love you and adore you.
I know.
And it's not having a jab
Oh my
at
God, Shirley.
Noodle, but as you guys would probably hear, the boy that cried wolf.
Oh,
Because the
totally.
last few
Mhm.
times I've heard her husband in the background calling the police because of trolls on the internet or something that was said by Mrs. P. I think that needs to stop too, because when something actually does happen and they do need the police, and I'm not saying it's going to happen or whatever, but if it does ever happen and Mrs. P gets to that stage where she's really angry and she, they won't want a bar of it. They will not go to the house, or they won't go and talk to Mrs. P or whatever, because it's a boy that cried wolf. So she needs to stop that too, and she needs to stop alerting her chat and the internet that's what's happening. Like she says, I'm waiting for a phone call, and then she'll mute when the phone rings, and
Well,
her husband will
yeah.
come back to the room and be like, oh yeah, we just called the police. That can't happen. That's
I agree.
and I get it that she plays the radios for protection and to see what's happening in her community. I get that.
Mhm.
But it's still, if something does happen in the near future and they keep calling on tiny little bits like, oh, I've got evidence she's been talking about me, or she's getting someone to talk on third party or whatever like that.
The
It just,
problem is, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm
Yeah,
horrible.
I'm
Like-
showing the problem here too, because I do agree with you. And sorry to interrupt, Carrie. I just want to show this real quick.
Sorry about that.
Mrs.
Mike.
Portland, look, this is what she does, okay? And this is why I think when she does shit like this, she should have the police called on her from her behavior, because she sits here and says, oh, so now we are up to threats. I have threats saved and will be reported. Miss Portland, it's not a threat. If you continue to call me a child predator, I will have no problem talking to your authorities that you report me to for telling you I'm going to report you. Like, that is not acceptable. That's not okay. And
Here's the thing,
like, I
want-
can understand why she's having the police called on her completely. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I wanted to say that, I mean, going off of what Lonnie said, it's for me, I think there's a decent chance that Mrs. P could find someone crazy enough to want to be her, like a knight in shining armor type of situation, not necessarily romantically, but there's a very good chance that somebody like a man could hear her, and you look at her, look at Mrs. P, look at her face, look at when she's crying, look at the things that she says about how she's being a victim and abused, and people, all want to do all these terrible things to her, and there's a good chance that someone could believe her, like somebody who might not be playing with a full deck, and could actually act out on that. And so when Lonnie says, if you continue to cry wolf, that's a really valid point, because you continue to call the police, you continue to talk about this, and then the time may come when, you know what I mean, someone who is nuts could feel so terrible for Mrs. P, and Robbie too. Like they could look at Robbie and want to come for him as well. Her behavior is not okay. However, she's putting people in danger, and someone like Noodle Mash, if she continues, she's not helping herself here, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
I don't. I worry that after everything, and I know that it's a permanent order and it's past the time for what's it called, to argue it, the 30 days
the appeal. the
Thank
appeal or
you.
whatever.
I know it's past that. However, as Noodle said on lives, you know, she was told by the judge to be careful. You know, she asked the judge, you know, okay, are there anything, you know, is there any things I can't do? Am I allowed to speak on this? Because she's going to keep doing this, basically, right? And the
Mhm.
judge told her, no, there's, you know, you don't have any restraint on you. However, you know, it's may not be a good idea to do that. Now, what I took from that personally is that it could cause problems with her order.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I
what I
don't know if it could. I don't know how the law works in the States. I'm not from there. I'm from Canada, as has been
Oh my
noted.
God, I'm from Canada. Are you in
I
Ontario?
know. I'm from Alberta.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys know that it says on Miss Portland's probation order that she's not allowed to have any internet devices to be on the internet
On her probation,
on her probation
or
order?
was
Yes.
that the interim one before court? Because the judge,
It was the final one that she gave me. It flat out, because I didn't think it said that, and then she sent me the probation, and I went through and scanned them, and it does, like, looked at them, and it does say that that she is not allowed to be on the internet.
no, I didn't know that. I knew that it was on the interim in between, you know, when it was set up for court, when she was basically caught and she ended up in jail. And
Wouldn't Noodle Mash know that?
I would think
Noodle
so,
has said
yes.
it. Noodle has said it.
and
That she's not
it's
supposed to be on the internet.
So, but again, because of the way this stupid order is set up within, now whether it's written or not, it was, you know, it was made clear that I'm handling this, and from now on, this whole case will be going through me, as in the judge, right? So the games are over, type of thing, right? And of course, that's not what was said. So please, nobody jump up and say, "Oh, I was not
Yeah,
using
that was the gist
it
of
was
it.
not verbatim." But that was the
Yeah,
indication
okay.
that Noodle was given, right? And so, and the way she has to report everything, I remember her being so upset, and all of us as well, because of that, going, what the hell? This isn't how this is supposed to work. Because it worked out that instead of, gee, she broke her probation, she should be picked up.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, okay, is
Yeah.
it's one thing documenting it and putting it
Exactly.
in a file, but coming on here, and I get it. When people lie on me, I want to address it. People lie on everyone. We all want to address it and
Yep.
you know, like, defend ourselves. But it's one thing documenting it and then coming on here every time for the last
And
2 months
announcing it.
and announcing it. So
I
if
agree.
it wants it to go into like an effect mode, document it, because I've gone through this myself with my ex-partner. Okay.
Yeah.
I rang up because I used to get emails, I used to get phone calls saying he was coming to my house and burning my house down, blah, blah, blah. So I was afraid of not myself, but my family's safety. Okay. So it's
I hear
one
you.
thing documenting it and putting action towards it.
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm saying is go ahead, protect yourself, defend yourself, but not everything has to be
Public.
public.
I
Everything can
agree. And again, that's one of
behind
the
the scenes.
main reasons I left.
Better to document things and put things behind the scenes than actually verbally saying it on here, saying, hey, all right, my husband just had a phone call, blah, blah, blah. Because then, it's alerting her. And then that's when that gives her time to get rid of everything that she's put up and get rid of all her things that she's, done in the background. And then she can sit there and play, oh, little old lady, poor, innocent little me. So if you want to make this be an effect thing that, what's going to happen in the future, it's better off just fucking not coming on here, addressing it, rah, 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 because the people that support her and have been through this with Noodle knows, who cares
Yeah.
about what the fucking haters think? worry about your safety, documenting things. Don't provoke, because more you provoke and more you put out your truth out there, the more it provokes her to do more things. And one day it might just get her to the point where she will do something, and the law enforcement won't want to know about it, because, oh, what? They're going to look at the phone number. They're going to look at Noodle's phone number. Oh, okay, guys, you know, she's calling us again. What's going to happen now? You know, put everything else aside. This woman needs us, whatever. And it takes the time out of actual people that are really needing the help at that moment.
The other thing too I wanted to say is that so Miss or Noodle always has that, you know, she has said she's not afraid of Mrs. P, but she is worried that there could be someone else. Okay, well, when you're out here talking about it, you're not just poking the bear that is Mrs. P. You could potentially be poking the bear of whoever it is you think may come after you, and I just don't understand it. And I can't imagine the police that are dealing with this, and even the judge, because if it were me, if I was one of those police officers or worked for that police department, I don't know how seriously, and I'm being honest, I don't know how seriously I would take two old women doing this. This is insane. This is lunacy.
Well, I mean, I told Miss P a while ago, and I've told her for a long time, she does not belong on the internet. Like, because you tell her TikTok, you tell her anywhere else, she's like, I deleted this, I deleted that. It's like, go to a support group. She talks about church all the time, but it sounds like they're not very fond of her there, because it sounds like trouble stirs up there as well from what she's spoke about online and what she's told me.
I think it cycles the same as here.
The what is?
I think she cycles at church the same as she does on here.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And so I think that she, you know, if not like supervision, some sort of support group that's going to understand and listen and be a group that is designed for who she is, because nobody wants to hear her complaining all the time. Then she gets outraged. I think in a group, if she began to get elevated or anything like that, they'd quickly be able to get that under control or just boot her, you know. But she needs something, not friends. I don't think that that's possible at this point.
See, Pink is on the same level that I'm at with this whole thing. She keeps saying, see the judge, do this, do that. There's something, I don't care what anybody says, there is something that Noodle can do. But I think, and someone, I don't know who it was, someone behind Pink after said you really want to see Miss P. Can do. Well, she said you really want to see Miss P in jail. I do. And I'm going to tell you why. When you go to jail, they literally do an evaluation on you and place you where you need to be. Miss P needs help.
I agree.
The Miss P needs help, and it's not that I want to see her sitting behind bars, but she can get the help that they will give her. Evaluate. They'll put her on her medications. Miss P gets mad, and you know what she does? She goes off her medications. You know how many times she told me I quit taking my medicine? I quit taking my medicine, or she'll be in a good mood one day. Oh, I'm back on my medication. That's not healthy for her at all. And when she does go to, and it's not that, like I said, it's not that I want to see her there, but that's the only way she's going to be forced treatment. If she tries to go and admit herself somewhere or try to get help, she gets into a mood. She's an adult. All she has to do is go legally sign herself out, and she's done.
Yep.
You know, and it's like that's the only way she
not
can
if she's on a hold.
No, it does not.
She needs a long hold.
You go and admit yourself into a hospital, Nikki. As long as it's not enforced by the courts or anything like that, you go and admit yourself somewhere. It doesn't matter if you're on a hold or not. You go and sign yourself out. You're out. They can't hold you there legally.
Yeah, it's the same in Canada. I mean, even if a family member does it, it doesn't matter. The person can still sign themselves out. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Now, Robbie, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I just, out of curiosity for my own self,
yes, he's gay.
Air quotes medical records that you went over on your live. Okay. Can you please, and I don't mean on the live, but reach out to me. I'd like you to go back into them and go down to the bottom of, I can't remember which page it is, but if I'm not mistaken, those papers that you went over are the same ones that we had.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was not a diagnosis. That was from them doing testing, not on her for her medical. That was like DNA testing because of her son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was not a diagnosis. That was a possibility.
Okay.
Now, I know that since then, Mrs. P showed her medical file at one point saying that she told her
She showed
doctor
other
to add
things too.
this, add that. But yeah, the stuff that Robbie showed was definitely on there. But when you go down to the bottom, the people signing off on it and the way it's written up, if it's the same papers, I'm not saying it is, but I think it is. It was not a medical diagnosis. All of that stuff, for the most part, was written up to say that these are possible things that she could have
Okay.
in the DNA, right?
Well,
Right.
the papers that Miss Portland gave Robbie and I were actually, if you look at them, they're stamped with the date
I know.
and the actual time by the courts. Those were the papers that were processed through the courts that she gave us.
Oh, they were through the courts. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It has
but
a
it's
court seal
still,
on it.
I don't, I just double check them. I'd be curious to see if they're the same.
Yeah, I
I
have
can
a
send it-
lot
I can
more that
send
I
them to
didn't
you.
show. Yeah, that
Yeah.
I could reach out to you because she gave me permission. So
Yeah, because if I'm not, like I said, I think it's the same ones that we had.
mhm.
Because if it was through the courts, Noodle would have the same ones,
Okay.
right? Because she was she was the, what's it called? She wasn't the
The
respondent. She was
petitioner.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, any of that paperwork has to be shared.
I'm so
But
sorry, Gladys.
And I'm saying, like, whenever it came to like
Oh
Robbie
wow,
and I,
Gladys.
we really did try to drive her in the right direction. Like, hey, Miss
oh, I
Portland, you
know.
can't be
So
saying
many people
you
did.
can't
Yeah.
you can't be doing that. So I don't know who this person is in the chat, like saying, hey, Pete, so what do you think about the people who have enabled her? I was never one, and I know for a fact Robbie was never one who did enable her.
Nope,
You know,
never intentionally.
when it came down to it, like Miss P actually doing something wrong, we called her out on it and said, hey,
Yeah.
that's not right. You
Oh, I
cannot
kind
be
of
doing
Robbie. I think Robbie he did enable her a little. Yeah, Robbie, we
Yeah,
talked
never
about that.
intentionally.
that. Not,
Like
but it
No,
was
even
more
not
with her
not
joking.
not maliciously. No,
no. Like
not
even with
maliciously. Because
Noodle
Robbie
and Miss
believed
P
her.
behind the scenes on Messenger, and I think we created a group chat. I don't know if we did or not. That was before the order happened, and it was they had both agreed. It was great. It worked out good, and then Miss P, you know, listened to other people and got triggered and upset over things that were not happening on Noodle's end, and then she messed it up. And I mean, at that time, I really loved both of them, so I really wanted to help them. That's why it makes me mad when people like the people that got upset with me, like, I can't believe he apologized to Noodle Mash. Well, I'm sorry you're incapable of doing that yourself, but when I feel like I'm in the wrong, I'm going to do that, and I don't need permission from anyone.
No, listen, when it comes to friendships, I'll use us as an example. I said this to you earlier, but Robbie and I were talking about this earlier, and I said to him the same thing that I say to all of my friends. My friendships with people, the only thing that concerns me is them. Who they are friends with is none of my business. Robbie,
Exactly.
I've known him for years. I've been best friends with him for years. He's been friends with people that I despise. But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't disrespect my friendship. Yeah, I know. I refuse to disrespect my friendship with Robbie for my own ego. I'm not doing that. I cherish all of my friendships, and I just want my friends to be happy. And if Robbie's happy being with someone or being friends with someone who I don't like, I'm happy for him. It's none of my business. And I know
also,
I'm
like, with enemies, if you want to call them that, it feels good, like, just to be peaceful. And a lot of times people, they misunderstand that as like, well, even if I was going to be friends with them, that's my business, but they misunderstand that like, oh my God, you're switching sides. It's like, no, I'm making life easier on all of us. So if you don't
Yeah, we're
see
not a
that,
gang.
yeah.
We're not a gang. We're not a group. We're all in. We are independent individuals here. And I'm not just talking about us, but I'm talking about like every friendship group in this community. I know that some of them are like that, and it's unhealthy. It's not good to be that way. To just follow your sheep at that point. You know, you should be able to independently make your friends, regardless of whether they like each other or not, but and be civilized enough and mature enough to be, to act accordingly. Like I don't understand all this bullshit. I don't understand people who get upset because you've decided to apologize. Look, do you feel, Robbie, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Do you genuinely feel like you were wrong in the way that you treated Noodle Mash and the things that you said to her?
Yes.
So that's how you feel.
Yeah.
Then there shouldn't be a problem with you apologizing to her. Then it's obviously a good thing, regardless of whatever anybody else thinks.
Yeah. I
You did
mean,
what you thought was right.
yes. And I know, like, watch, a year from now, you're going to see people being friends you never thought would be friends. And if those
Mhm.
people are friends with each other and you miss the opportunity to make peace with one of them just because one of the other people would have got mad, that's ignorant to me. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
skip that opportunity. And because people always, I mean, I'm not even gonna say who, but a while ago, the same person that's mad at me now for being kind to Noodle, uh, they saw me in someone's chat who's very nice to me. They were in here earlier. They were messaging me, I can't believe you're in there. Like, they did this to me. I'm like, well, first of all, slow down. I had no idea of that. Don't know. They're just very nice to me. They seem genuine. I don't know what's going on. Now, weeks later, after they messaged me that, they're friends. They're actually moderators on each other's channel. So it's like,
See?
work your own stuff out and don't sit there and put that weight on somebody else.
How many friends would each of us have if we refused friendship with every single person that did our friends wrong?
No,
We would
yeah, it's
only
not
have
going to
2
happen.
friends. No,
No.
it's not going to happen.
Well, and like I've been peaceful with AJ in chats. She's been places and I've been fine with it. But when it comes to the restraining order situation and she talks about it, that's when I have a problem, when she's in chats. And I just want to show you guys something just real quick.
Can I just say something?
This
while you
is
do
part
that?
of the problem. This is where Miss Portland's little rumor of me being a child predator starts
See, I
from.
didn't know
AJ
what
right here.
happened today with that.
Yeah. Well, AJ and Space Monsters say that all the time. And here AJ is, look, somebody who didn't like Miss Portland before. So sorry to Miss P that this is being done to you out of pure cruelty and hatred. If the people can't see through him now, they can't be helped. Anyone with a brain cell can see him and what he is. If people can't see how he attacks and goes for anyone that is kind to me, wow, what a POS. AJ, this has nothing to do with you except the fact that the rumor that you started about me long ago, that's not true, is being spread through Miss Portland, and you're pushing it and you're abusing the situation like you normally do. And nobody fucking listens to you. You talk about people with a brain cell, but only 7 people with no brain cells hit the like on that. Just so you know.
How could she? Of course, she
19th.
made this about her. Of course, she.
Of course she does. She
I
doesn't
mean-
talk about the predator part or me being attacked. It's, first of all, I'm not even attacking Miss Portland. I'm saying if Miss Portland continues, I'm not going to tolerate it.
Hold on. How could anyone have sympathy for Mrs. P for the way that you've responded to that, what she said?
Well, because AJ has nobody. She needs somebody.
Can I just say that Miss Portland is always the first one? All I ever hear is, I'm tired of being mentally abused. I'm tired of being abused this way or that way or that way. The only person that has actually mentally abuse people, emotionally abuse people on here is Miss Portland. Calling Robbie a predator and saying what she's saying about him is dangerous,
Yeah,
extremely dangerous, you
Mhm.
know, and that right there is abuse. And I'm going to tell you something, Robbie, whoever it is that you're saying, you know, is upset with you because of Miss Portland, or you having CJ in your chat, and that's why Miss Portland is mad at you and they're not
He's a
supporting
trash
you.
bag.
They're basically enabling Miss Portland
Yeah,
by
they're
her
actually
calling
asking
you
for
what
donations
she's
back now
saying.
at this point.
Well,
What?
whoever that is then is a piece of shit, and I'm just gonna say that because they're supposed to be your friend, and then their hate for Noodle is overriding what Miss Portland is doing to you right now.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you say this? They're asking for their donations back?
Yeah,
So,
Well, no,
is your friendship for sale? Is that what's
I guess
happening
so.
here? Are you pay as you go?
I guess so.
That's what it sounds like to me, and that's some sick shit. Tell them to fuck themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And this is why people think that all of our communities, like all of our channels that we participate with, we're all cults.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
why
it's
I'm so
9
outspoken
times
that
out
I
of
am
10,
not.
it's us subs that feed the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I
And it's
agree with that.
unfortunate. I'm,
Yeah,
you know,
Kirdy.
and I am just a sub. I don't have a channel. I'm a sub.
Yeah.
Well, I totally get that. And that's why I always say this. All of my fights on here, they always stem from me choosing for myself or not choosing a side and just trying to be neutral. They've all started from that. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exhausting because it's
true.
like you never know who you're going to piss off by doing what you feel is right in your heart to either accept someone's apology or, you know, move on from things. It's always going to make somebody mad, and I'm never going to stop doing it because it's the right thing to do.
So
Well, if we're
they're
talking about friendships, I feel like I don't know for sure. I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty sure that I've been friends with you the longest on here. So I have some fucking rank. So who is it? Tell me the name. I'm going after them, Robbie. I'm kidding. Don't tell me the name. Don't say it. Out loud.
She will.
I'll tell you privately.
But you know,
But that's your
I'm
show,
saying,
Nikki. I'll be there. No, I'm kidding.
yeah,
Well,
but
and-
I'm like, I've been friends with you the longest, and even
Yep.
I'm not that insecure about my friendship with you. Like,
No.
this is insane.
And Kate, like
Oh.
Kate says, all for greater peace. And it's funny because people either tease me on here for wanting to make peace all the time, or they tease me for being an evil person. It's like, well, which one is it? Because the most
You're not gonna
most of
win.
the time that I'm evil
Not
is because I'm making peace with somebody. So that's your problem.
Yeah, that's
You just need to take out some talc and dust it on your shoulders so we can see that little devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other.
He
Yeah.
actually used to do videos.
I did, yeah. I have a
beer and
parody with a what was it?
That's
The
hilarious.
conscience
a
on my
beer.
shoulders.
Yeah, the devil and the angel.
to me, it
I'll
sounds
be
like
right back. This dog that I'm dog sitting, he's adorable, but he keeps farting. Hold on.
I can't comprehend that Miss Portland, they're just the way that they're enabling her to do these horrible things to Robbie, and they're supposed to be Robbie's friend. I can't get past that.
Just give her a day. She'll do the same thing to them.
Well, what these people need to do is quit coddle. I didn't coddle Miss Portland. I put her in her place.
I
Like,
have
hey,
never
this
had.
is wrong. This is wrong. You can't be doing this. Why are they coddling her? Why? They're
Now,
enabling her to continue doing what they're doing. And if they were any type of friend to Robbie at all, they'd be like, hey, Miss Portland, I can't support what you're doing. I can't.
Yes.
But what will happen if they do that? Miss Portland gets mad at them and starts going off on them and dragging them. That's what she does. Look what she's doing. I mean, she mentioned my name in these videos with Robbie, calling him, what she's calling him.
her.
She's
And she
mentioned your
mentioned-
name, Nikki. You know what I'm
she
saying?
mentioned Christola as well, Amy.
Huh?
She mentioned Christola as well.
And that was a flat out lie. Robbie and
Mhm.
Christola were, from what Robbie told me, they were on Messenger and they were playing those games on Messenger, and they added Miss Portland to it, and she kept being negative because that's how she is. It's always about Noodle. The whole time you talk to Miss Portland, nothing about you. If you're going through something, Miss Portland doesn't care as long as you're talking about noodles. She's happy. You know what I'm saying? But so Robbie said you're being negative, and they're the ones that ended the conversation. She got, well, I don't remember if they did or she did. I can't remember. I have to ask Robbie when he gets back. But she got mad. She got mad because they're like, "Hey, Miss Portland, we just called you to play games with us or whatever." And then she goes and Miss Portland lies in her video. She's a liar. That's I used to be really, really supportive of Miss Portland, but I mean, yeah, I talked to her, but it's if you don't tell her what she wants to hear, she gets mad at you and blocks her. I'm not near as supportive of Miss Portland like I used to be. Over the last year, I can't be. To be honest with you, I really don't care for her.
Well, I tried recently with her, Amy, and I just can't. Today was the last for what she said about Robbie, and you know how I feel about Robbie, Amy. Like he's like my brother, and like nah. There's certain people in this community that I will friggin' stand up, and I'd rather be friends with them than be friends with people that are just like,
And I'm just going to say this very publicly right now to Miss Portland. This is directed to you because I know you're listening. Do not ever contact me again. Do not mention my name. You want to well, she's going to mention my name no matter what. Do it. I don't care. You are lying on Robbie. You're lying on Christola, me, Nikki, everybody, because you're mad and you're throwing a little baby fit like you always do. Do not ever contact me again.
Yeah, me neither. Because like she said in her video, I blocked him. I'm like, I blocked you. And you're gonna
do not
in
ever
the past
contact
it was
me
like
again.
If I blocked Miss Portland, I would feel very bad and like poor Miss Portland, and I would unblock her and she'd apologize. There's no coming back from this because each time I'm contributing to your bad behavior by doing that, and I recognize that now. Just like Nikki said,
do not blame yourself, Robbie. It's not your fault. You were just trying to be a friend and you're trying to be there for somebody. You never blame yourself for her own action. She's an adult, even though people say that she's got disabilities and she's got records out there that she doesn't think straight and she goes off her emotions and whatever. Everyone does that. I do, you do, Nikki, Amy, all of us do, right?
Tanya.
But she knows what she's doing. She's not
a
stupid woman because she says words that half of us are like, what? Like even you and James and all these people that are highly intelligent people are like, what did you say? And she says all these words. So she knows what she's doing. She's just manipulated. And that's what I said in the message. I said she has been wrapped up in cotton wool ever since she was little, and now she thinks all she's got to do is go off her emotions, use her disabilities, and she thinks, okay, what happens tomorrow or the next day? I bet you any money she'll do another live stream or a video and say, I'm sorry for what I said to you, Robbie, and she'll try and get back in your good books again because, I've said this so many times. I think me and Amy and a few others were the first ones to say this. She goes off her emotions. She fucking comes on here and screams and rant and raves, lies about people. And then once she calms down, she thinks that she can just say sorry and everyone else is like, forgives her because she's done it all her life and she knows that all she's got to do is to do these videos and lie about people, and you guys will have her back because it happened when she was little. It happened all through her life that people accept her for her and her disabilities, that she can just keep doing it, and it's not okay. She needs to stop. What she
and I will say this
to you today about you today, Robbie. No,
and
ever talk to me again, Mrs. P.
Nope. Well, like I, like in her second video, she was like, and you're not a Christian, you're this and that. And I'm like, I don't care. First of all, I have a great relationship with Christ. It's flawed on my end because I'm in human flesh, but God is amazing. So I already forgive Miss Portland. However, I'm handing it over to God because I cannot control what she does. I cannot help her anymore. I've prayed for her. I've talked to her. I've given her advice. I've fought for her, all of that stuff. And if I were to welcome her back into my life again, that would be damaging to me. So I'm not going to
Yes.
do that anymore, but I absolutely forgive her. And she could sit there and talk about her Christianity and you're not this and I'm a better Christian all she wants. But I forgive you, Ms. Portland. I don't have hate, but I'm ready for God to handle you the way that he knows you're going to learn.
Well,
Whatever way that is.
she's not very much of a Christian either, going on a public platform and lying about you and putting you into a very dangerous situation. She's not a
Yeah, I
very
don't
much
care
of a
about
Christian
her
doing this stuff.
religion. That's between her and God. Like, that's not between me to
Right.
talk about. But you know, people are always talking about, oh, you're not a Christian. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you call me. You could call me a Satanist, whatever. I know my relationship with Christ.
Again, just to clarify, she's not a Christian. She is Mormon. There's
True.
a significant difference.
Well, that's
that
not true. I was raised in the Mormon church, and they actually consider themselves Christians.
Well,
so.
it's like a form
But
of
I will tell
Christianity.
you,
Yeah.
I will tell you that half the stuff that she says about the Mormon church is not even true. Like her going on a mission, they would never send her out at her age on a mission.
They'd never send her out with her attitude on a mission.
Right. And for the people in the chat that are saying, like, you know, noodle mash is just as bad, I agree with that. Like, I'm talking about the
Noodle
back
mash
and forth.
is worse.
I'm talking
Okay,
about the
noodle
back and
mash is a
forth
lot
between
worse.
them. You know, you would think like Noodle's a little more mentally stable to know. And that's why I say put your big girl panties on, because someone has to be the bigger person in this and to stop. But we're addressing tonight what Miss Portland is saying about Robbie and the continuous videos that now she's doing to him.
Yeah. And everyone's opinion is theirs. Like, you know, like I said, I'm not going to drag Noodle anymore, but I know that my friends have their own opinions, but you guys have been very respectful about it. And Cara D, like, you left her and you have said nothing like negative.
I might drag
that's
it
a
again.
good quality.
That's me though. I would try to do that with anybody. It's the same as when I left NC.
Schedule it tomorrow.
You know, I never had, you know, there was a couple of times where I got a little snippy because of things that she was saying.
Well, we all do.
But, you know, that's just, you know, it's human nature. But this person, he is degreeless, referring to Taro or Trisha and Sally Ann. I think they're continuing all this probably, well, with Sally Ann, her and Noodle have a definite dislike for each other right now. But that being said, I think they feel like a lot of us got to the point where it's just enough is enough. It has to stop somewhere. And to be fair, and I wasn't watching everything the way I was, so chances are I missed stuff, like Mrs. P being on Twitch or whatever she was. So she might have been going off over there on Noodle. I don't know. I wasn't watching Noodle. I wasn't watching Mrs. P. None of that crap. But that being said, Mrs. P had been gone from YouTube for roughly a month. Basically, completely gone. And when all of a sudden Noodle started back on her, and I don't know if Mrs. P set her off or what happened. Anyway, all of a sudden the fight was back on full time, big time, back in the front, freaking on the top of everybody's minds. So that's when everybody went, whoa, that's enough. This is now Noodle. I believe the term was she was now stalking Mrs. P.
So, okay, you know what, you guys, I'm passing out, so I'm gonna hop off. But I know. But Cara D,
I'm gonna wrap it up soon.
Hear you and talking with you, and I hope I get the opportunity to do that again soon. Lonnie, Amy, I'll see you guys later, and Robbie, you know,
Nikki, go fuck yourself.
I'm gonna get down too. I'm tired, so I'm gonna get down too.
Okay, thanks for coming up, guys.
All right, night, guys.
Good night. And I put my email in the back chat too.
Okay, perfect.
It's there. It is on the screen too. Don't forget the dot. Some people forget the Save Robbie dot.
No, I'm just copying it. Come on now.
Oh, there
I
you
don't
go.
copy it, I'll do something wrong and I'll mess it up somehow. But yeah, as far as Trisha and Sally Ann go, I think a
Love you,
lot of
honey.
it has to do with the fact just wanting to protect, you
Mm-hmm.
know, not necessarily because Mrs. P is this poor, defenseless woman, because this is a woman who it on one hand, it just breaks my brain how people think that she just doesn't have the mental capacity. When she gets on here, she can start how many different channels and how many different socials and run StreamYard and download screenshots. And do not tell me this woman has, that
Well,
many mental issues that way.
yeah, and for me, like for the longest time, I always like the way she would snap at me for no reason. I'm like, oh, she just doesn't understand.
Oh no.
But then every time she does her little, insults or attacks, it makes sense that she totally does understand.
Yeah,
Because if she didn't, then she would just attack for something that was just random, that she didn't think that I
exactly.
would get hurt by. She knows exactly how to hurt not just me, Noodle,
Yeah.
even Manda and Hooker, Natasha, like everybody she's gone after, she knows just what to say. And so
Oh,
to
totally.
me, yeah, that definitely shows that she knows what she's doing as far as
Right,
that
right.
goes.
Exactly, exactly. This is a woman who does that. She uses one of her big ones that she likes to fall back on is, well, I've got a bad temper.
Hmm.
Well, you're aware you have a bad temper. It'd be one thing if she couldn't learn. Okay.
Yeah.
If she had these handicaps that were that bad, but she has proven to all of us many times that she can learn.
Well,
So that's off
and
the table. And for her to lose her temper the way she does and then use that as an excuse, well, I've got a bad temper. There's a lot of people that have bad tempers.
yeah, I do. When
But
I'm mad, I get mad.
but again, you don't try and use that as, well, that's a disability. No, that's just
No.
a bad temper with and she's gotten away, and this was my big thing initially was when I joined when Natasha was covering Gabby Petito.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, that was when Mrs. P joined. And, I watched her bounce from community to community or from channel to channel. It's all one big community, from channel to channel to channel, right?
Yeah.
And she was good with them until she wasn't. And then it was all hell would break loose. She'd call them every name in the book. And, the same as she's done with Noodle. The difference with Noodle is that they are in the same state. They've known each other in real life, and Mrs. P has done some crazy ass shit
Yes.
trying to cause real life problems for Noodle. And Noodle is very afraid, not only for herself, but for her kids and her grandkids.
Yeah.
When you've got this crazy ass woman screaming online all these horrible things that Noodle's doing, and oh, this is the kids' school, go there and beat them up. There's psychos out there. We've watched them.
Yep.
You know, like it's terrifying. So I get that. Yes, Noodle is afraid. However, on the flip side of that, I do believe that and I that's one of the things that kind of held me back from becoming a channel creator. You watch almost everybody, all the creators out here, and the shit that they go through,
Mm.
and I've watched a number of people become very, very bitter and very nasty because
Oh, I
of
have
what
many a
they've been
time.
put through. Yeah. And so on one hand, I get why Noodle is in the frame of mind she is now, where
Yeah,
she's
no,
like,
like
what? I've got nothing left to lose. Fuck it. I'm just
definitely.
a bitch now.
Yeah, that's what Cliff clicked with me. I mean, with Noodle, I've gone back and forth the whole time that I've known
Yeah.
her, from sympathizing, then not, and then sympathizing. And, you know, recently, the last couple of weeks has been more just seeing the reality of Miss Portland will always attack people if they don't do what she
If they
likes.
don't agree with her when she wants them to agree with her, or they don't, you know, it was the same as after she got rid of everybody's Christmas baubles that they sent, and
Yep.
then wanted everybody to send more.
Yeah,
And
and she replaced the Broncos one because she wanted one from every state. She broke mine, then she bought a new one, and I'm like, you just wasted your own money on that, you know. But yeah, Mrs. Portland, the way that she's treated me the last couple of weeks, it's been more of like a wake up of like, wow, no wonder this person that I've been saying just shut up, stop talking about it. It is no wonder that they continue to talk about it. You know, I always saw Noodle as just being this person that was just talking about her just to do it. And the
that's
more and
not
more
the
Miss yeah, the more Miss Portland pokes, I get it. I mean, look, I responded to Miss Portland tonight from her calling me a child predator because, and you know, it comes from rumors from those other people, and she just jumps on it.
I
She
agree,
knows it's
Pastor.
not true, and she
Mhm.
just goes with it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because when I joined with Noodle, like, look at the way she was initially. Like, when I first went over and started to mod for Noodle, who she is right now is not the person she was then. Not
Right.
online. I mean, yeah, she'd swear in our mod chat while we were all chatting. She swore like a sailor, just like the rest of us.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's not what she wanted to put out. And it's just that with everything, you know, and Mrs. P doing the, you know, after everything I've been through over the last couple of years, well, it's the same for Noodle.
Right.
The problem is that, you know, and unfortunately, everybody, you know, Noodle's got X number of people that are assisting her. Now, that being said, some of the people that started really supporting Noodle, and I'm not talking about her not Moz, I'm not talking about Patty, um, but some of the other channels that started supporting her are people that were just so thankful that somebody finally was holding Mrs. P to account for
Yeah.
her actions. Because
Ye-
as far as I'm concerned, until then, nobody ever had.
Yeah, and that's why I always go based off my own experience, and
Yep.
I witness other people experiencing other people, but I'm like, well, maybe that's just their chemistry and stuff. So that's another reason I apologize, because I have not only have I seen the behavior of Miss P towards Noodle, but many other people, but also with myself. And it
Hmm.
just took forever for me to just finally put my foot down, because I had such a soft spot for Mrs. Portland, and I would make every excuse, whether it be her medical stuff that we were talking about earlier or whatever it is, and I would just feel bad, or when she cried. Um, but it is manipulation. She does that because she'll go right from crying to doxing your whole
Laughing.
family and just wishing
Yeah.
death on you.
Yeah. Well, it's so true.
Yep.
So true. Yeah, it's unfortunate on both parts. It really is. But I mean, unfortunately, Mrs. P has a very long history of doing stuff like this.
Hmm.
And it's sad. It's very sad. And I don't mean it's sad because, gee, poor Mrs. P by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's very sad that somebody lives that way. Right.
Yeah,
And
and it's very exhausting being on phone calls with her, because
yeah,
it doesn't matter what positive advice or optimism you give her, it's always turned down. And then she'll
yeah,
get offended. Well, you don't understand. And it's like, no, I don't think you understand. You are destroying your happiness by doing this. And, like Pesky said, and I've told Miss Portland this, the internet is not a place for you. It's too easy to get triggered for a lot of us on here to begin with, let alone her, and she's on here wanting to interact with people, but she can't keep friendships very long, or out of nowhere, she'll get mad at one person and say she's blocking everyone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that one of the reasons that she blocks everyone and she never has her comments on, or very seldom, is because that way nobody can answer her. She doesn't want to hear what everybody else says. What did I just see? Yes, Sally, I totally agree with you. And Amy, what did you say, Amy? I lost your comment.
Let me see where it went. Yeah, and that's why finally I'm like, it's not just been me. It's been so many people that really have invested their time into her.
Yeah.
And it's finally time just to be like, okay, well, look, we tried to guide you. I know I did. I tried to make you laugh or do other things. Now it's time for you to realize that there is going to be consequences for your actions. And the more that she says things and attacks people for whatever it is, whether calling them names that aren't real, aren't true, or whatever, the more people are continuing to support that when they see she's doing it to people that they care about, the more that's going to cause more damage. So in my opinion, of course, I can't boycott anybody, and I'm not, but I'm saying for me, if the topic is supporting her in someone's chat, I can't be there. If the topic is dragging Noodle, I've already apologized, can't be there. That's just what I have to do.
Yeah, I know. I mean, apparently, I heard some of Sally's live earlier today, and I'm like, well, what? How did I get brought into this conversation? And that's one of the reasons when I happened to see you were live and I turned it on and heard what you were saying. I'm like, wait, okay, stop. We've got to get a few things straight here, because there is, like I said, there's so much that we miss.
Yes.
With Mrs. P, because she's so quick to post and delete. Well, there's so many people that are trying to make sure that she's not saying or doing anything that is going to put Noodle in jeopardy, or for those that just can't stand Mrs. B, they're grabbing everything and they're sending it to Noodle. And there's so much there. And Noodle's right. When there's a lot of times when Mrs. P makes comments that she doesn't use Noodle's name or anything, or any slang name that she might have for her, but you can tell that she has been listening to what Noodle was saying on her live. Yes. And she's made those, like the one about her mom on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That was
and she does that all the time. Just like today, she's like, well, at least I have a husband. And it's like, who cares? We don't care what you have, Miss Portland.
Yeah. And again, it's very sad, but at this point, she's how old now? 47 or something? 43?
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
in her 40s anyway. Mid-40s, we'll say.
Yeah, maybe even 50s. I'm not sure, actually.
50s now? I don't remember. I know she's older than Noodle, right?
I think so, yeah.
There's a few years between them. And, there's a few sayings that I'm kind of glad I've gone the way of the dodo bird with her. But,
oh, she's 56.
Noodle, I mean Mrs. P on that one.
People are saying 57, 56. One of the two.
Somewhere. Okay, so she's just a few years younger than me.
Okay. Yeah, and and that's why I've always been like, well, she's reminds me of like a child. So you kind of want to like coddle her, but I mean, kids have to learn too. My parents threw me into the pool to teach me how to swim.
Yep.
So
my dad threw me off his shoulders when he walked out in the lake with me on his shoulders up to his neck, and then tossed me and told me to swim.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is me. Basically, I got to wrap this up in a minute, but this is basically me tossing Miss Portland into the pool saying, you got to fly, girl.
Yeah,
Can't do
and
it anymore.
my final word is, unfortunately, not only do they need to stop, everybody else that, because of what's happened, going at Noodle doesn't help, because for the most part, it's all because of her responding to Mrs. P and the stuff that Mrs. P has said. So unfortunately, when that happens, she's going to keep going back at them, be it Sally Ann or Trisha right now, or when it was X or all of them. It's going to cause Noodle to react and respond, and because she's responding, even if it's to them and putting out her proof about what's been said and done, then Mrs. P is going to jump back in. It's just going to be a vicious circle forever.
It is. And, and I love Sally
Yes.
Ann. I've had my differences with her in the past, and I love Trisha. And I know that they're capable of compromise and stuff. So whatever's going on with what they're doing, I didn't want my apology to interfere with anybody else today. And they weren't the ones that got mad at me. There was just a few people. And I'm like, if an apology makes somebody mad, I'm not the problem. Anybody who's ready to move on, that should always be encouraged, in my opinion, because it's a positive move for that person. And eventually the other people may take time. But, I have faith that in a year, people that you don't see getting along will hopefully get along in a year.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's not going to happen if we all just jump on a team with people like a cult and dislike people just because somebody else does. I'm never going to do that. And that's why people get mad at me, and that's fine. But I'm not doing it to be vindictive. I'm
that's
doing
why
it
I
to do
keep
things
my
right.
mouth shut most of the time. I'm just like, I don't have the energy for it anymore. I just don't. And Pesky, I completely agree. And yes, they both need to stop. They really, really do. And they both have their reasons or excuses, or however you want to put it, for keeping going.
Yeah.
And, all we can do is just look away and ignore it. And, if people stop paying attention to it, they'll either go off on their own and do their own thing, or keep fighting somewhere else. It's not healthy for anybody.
Yeah. And like you were saying, you just don't want to say anything. And a lot of times I'll do that about negative stuff. Sometimes I can't control my tongue, which I work on. But if it's a positive thing, there's times where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that because that's going to make someone mad. And then, the intuition inside is like, no, that's the right thing to do. If people get angry at you for doing the right thing, and it's the right thing, that's not your problem. Eventually they'll either get over it or they'll realize, what you're doing was right. But you can't please everybody.
No.
But when it comes to doing the right thing, I don't think anybody should ever hold back, no matter how scared or they're walking on eggshells, no matter how they feel.
Yeah. And since I left Noodles, for the most part, I try and be quiet. If the subject comes up and it's about Noodle or Mrs. P, I'll just be quiet if I happen to be in chat.
Yeah, and that's great.
Unless there's other stuff going on, like tonight, I just felt that I wanted to make sure that there was a little more explanation on some of the things that people may not have actually necessarily heard or understood, or or it was just driving me crazy that
Well, you did a great job.
Put my nose in it.
I mean, for somebody who leaves someone's community or anything like that, like you didn't talk negative about Noodle, nothing. You just explained things how they are, and you could have come up here, dragged her, and be like, "Yeah, I left." I have never heard anyone do that when they've left a community. I think you're one of the first people that I've ever heard just like come up and actually not defend, but just say like, "Hey, I left, but this is how it is," and not drag the person. So I give you props for that.
Thank you.
And you're so well, it was so nice to talk to you. You're so well spoken and just sweet.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm sure Noodle appreciates it too. And whoever else. I don't know about Ms. Portland, but you know, she doesn't appreciate it a lot anyways, but I won't go there.
Yeah. La, la, la.
Yep.
I know, Amy, and it's when Noodle gets something in her craw, she gets pretty. She can be pretty nasty now. I mean, she. I don't know if she just held back before because I mean, we knew when she got upset before when I was there, like back at the beginning. But even then, she definitely has never acted the way she does now. Ever. She never talked about. I didn't start thinking about leaving until she started putting out letters to X's name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, I've grown to
Yay,
like
Shelly.
X, and you know, there's just if people are kind to us, we just like to be kind to them. And I think also I see it with a lot of creators that when people come at them, like if you look at my demeanor when I first started my channel, I always spoke about peace still, but I never snapped on anyone for about a year. And then
Yeah.
finally I got fed up, and when I snapped, they were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" I was like, "This guy is fed up. That's who I am."
Well, and that's what I mean with Noodle, right? It's like, wow, she's just had enough, and unfortunately, you know, I don't like being in the middle of that.
Oh, I agree. It's uncomfortable, especially when I think it's most uncomfortable when you offer people and say, "Hey, you know, what can I do to help?" You know, and they're like, "Nothing. There's nothing anyone can do. They're terrible." It's like, okay, we offered, but I still
Yeah.
like both of you, so that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah. Noodle
So,
wants respect, then she needs to show it all. I agree, Amy. I agree. I
yeah,
agree.
I think maybe even like because you know breaks are always good for us, like a refresher.
I do that regularly. Maybe that's how
Yeah,
come I stay fairly calm.
it's so good. Well, not only that, because we kind of get out of our routine of like daily health. Like
Mhm.
I've been out of my routine of working out forever, you know, just between
Smarten the
my
hell up,
outside life
Robbie.
and I know I need to get my act together.
That's right. Get to the gym.
Yes. I could even go outside and run. Like I live out like in the country by fields and stuff, and I'm just like, nah.
Me too. I live 4.5 hours out of the city. So when I'm at home all by myself.
Yeah, it's peaceful though. It's like you
I
just want to
love
get
it.
cozy.
Hmm.
I like it outside the city. I moved almost a year ago. We moved out here, and
I
it's so
know.
quiet and like just calm at nighttime and
How does
even
it
during the
feel when
day.
you have to go into the city now?
It's stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could
And do you
feel
get
the
that
tension as
release
you're
as you're
driving in.
driving out of the city? Like, do you feel it all kind of start falling away as you leave the city heading towards home?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
It's
and that's how
wonderful.
it was, like, because my parents moved to Kansas about 4 hours away, and when I drive out to visit them, you just, like it just feels like you're out on the ocean or something, just, like, all these fields and just, like, calmness, you know, no traffic, none of that. Then you go to Denver, and it's like, "Honk!"
Yeah, exactly. Mind you, we're the ones that do the honk. Sorry,
Oh, yeah, I
honk.
am.
Sorry.
I lay on that horn.
No, my husband tries to make me do that, and I'm like, no. I'm
Yeah,
the one who always plays the devil's advocate, drives people crazy.
yeah, my husband, like, in the car with him, I'm like, I always let him drive, but I'm like, maybe I should drive next time because he's one that will like ride someone's tail and like speed, and I'm like, I go exactly the speed limit, and I like stay off people's rear end and all that.
Oh,
So
I speed too, but I'm very like, oh la 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 la. My husband's like, get the hell out of the way.
yeah,
Oh my god, that guy's an idiot. I'm like, honey, maybe this is going on in his day. Maybe he's just having a day. Can't you be nice? He's like, oh, he's just an idiot. You have to teach them. I'm like, oh gosh, we're 60 years old. Do we have to? Aren't
yeah,
we
I've
done
said
that
before.
now? We had 5 kids. We don't have to do that anymore.
Oh wow, that's That's awesome. Like if people heard my vocabulary in my car, I would be canceled completely.
Oh, come on
Because I make threats, I do it all.
now.
Well, thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. I'm
Thanks for
I'm
having
dog sitting, so I'm gonna take this dog and
the
my dog
stinky
out.
dog outside.
Yeah, well, he was tooting earlier, but he stopped. But before bed, I'm just gonna make sure that they.
He's gonna wait until you go to sleep and then gas your ass.
I know.
Okay, well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, you're
Thanks
awesome.
for being
Thank
so
you.
kind tonight. I appreciate it. I've been ignoring everything that Noodle's been saying. I don't know what she's been saying about me, but I've gotten a few comments that there's been a few kind of nasty comments.
Oh,
so
negative
I
ones.
just try to ignore it.
Well, hopefully, she'll hear you speak on this. You were not negative in any way, shape, or form, and it was very informative and very kind.
I just hope that I didn't get anything wrong or too much wrong anyway.
Yeah,
I
and it didn't seem like you intentionally would do that at all. So
no. Okay, well, I will jump down and you can close out and have a great night. Go to the gym,
yeah, you
dude.
too. Oh my God, I need to. Thank you. I got motivation now.
Okay, and I can just do this. Okay, good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're waiting for a big sweaty builder to look at your cracks. What's going on over there, Pesky? All right, we're going to end with this. I was going to end with my conscience parody, but this one's funnier. It's when people used to tease me for doing Thrive. So I just had a little fun with it. So I hope you guys have a good night. I'm ending on this. Thank you, everyone, for coming up, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. Sorry, Sandra's running in her ball over there. So I wanted to clear up something really quickly that's really bugging me pretty bad. And that's that a lot of people are saying that Thrive makes you evil and makes you crazy and does all this terrible stuff to your body. Let me first of all start off by saying the whole heartburn situation, I have never, I guess maybe a little bit in the beginning, I experienced a little bit of acid reflux, but excuse me. So then people continue to go on to say that it's like something that's been irritating their skin, like their skin has this burning sensation to it, and that they're hallucinating and seeing stuff when they're on it. I have never experienced that.
I'm so cute. I'm cute too.
Do you think I'm cute?
I think we're all really cute. And I'm just a little bit promiscuous.
Fuck out of
La
here.
cucaracha.
Sorry. The main thing that really, really bugs me is that people say that it like makes you evil and it makes you think really evil thoughts, and that is absolutely not true. There's very few side effects to it. It's really not anything that you can be worried or concerned about. Just give it a try, see what happens. I promise you, you and all the people around you will feel loved, safe, happy, and energetic. Just give it a try, and I'll put my link in the description if you want to. And what are they going to come up with next? Am I going to spontaneously combust?
You're funny. You're so funny. I want to be friends with you forever
What?
and ever and ever.
Anyways, I hope you guys have a blessed day. Don't knock it until you try it. I'm just kidding. I just like to tease, but it is fantastic. And if anybody has any questions about it, just let me know. On a serious note, just let me know. Have a good day, guys.
I'm gonna get ya.
No chance.
no.